Hello, welcome back. It is Meredith, and today I'm starting another reading vlog, and I'm starting one that I think is going to be a tradition on my channel. It's a stupid concept. I feel like not a lot of people will even know what I'm talking about, but if you know, you know, and you're probably a bogan Australian. So yes, there is a music award in Australia for the Triple J radio, which is kind of a radio station for like indie Australian music, but they do have a Hottest 100 every year. It used to be announced on Australia Day, but they have changed it to a few days after, which I am all for because fuck Australia Day. I don't really know what the requirements are because there are like popular music in it that is not from Australia, so I don't really know. There is like some requirement, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, last year I did a vlog where I read 5 books inspired by the top 5, and I thought that that could be a fun tradition that I do every year around this time. I will read books based on the top 5 songs. So I have done that again. I have seen what they are. They were announced a few days ago, and I am going to pick 5 books to go with those 5 songs, and I'm going to read them. Again, it's a stupid concept. Yeah, Tilly really doesn't like it. So number 5 was It's Been a Long Day by Spacey Jane. And I just want to say that Spacey Jane have been in the top 5 for the last few years, and they still haven't hit number 1. And I feel so bad for them. So basically their whole newest album, which is called Here Comes Every Day, and that entire album has been inspired by young Australians' anxiety over COVID and climate change. So both of these songs are kind of similar. So I tried to distinguish something within them to try and use as a way to pick a book. So one of the members of the band said, "This song was written pre and post a breakup in 2020. It was a way to tell someone that I loved them, and I didn't know if I was doing enough to tell them. In the end, I became so overwhelmed and unwell during a 6-month period that I convinced myself that music was a lost cause, and the complete loss of identity resulted in the breakdown of the relationship. I've got something to say. I was trying to say all the things I felt for her at once. In the end, after the breakup, the final lines of the song are, I really loved you." I have picked a book that isn't really a breakup book.
That totally defeats the purpose.
So I've interpreted that a little bit weirdly, but stick with me. Now, where is the book? It's over there, of course. So I have picked Witchmark for this. Now, did I really desperately try and fit this in for this song because I really need to finish it in January to complete my TBR? Yes, I did, but I wouldn't have forced it to the point where it made 0 sense. So I was able to come up with a way that did make some sense. Yes, it's very convoluted, and I promise the rest are not, but I really needed to finish this book. So in this book, the main character has a very awful relationship with his family, and they kind of go through a like familial breakup in a way, so like the breakup of the family, and he is definitely suffering after that. He's going through a lot of identity issues. He's going through a lot of things. This whole plot is kind of him breaking away, trying to be himself, live the life that he wants. Even though that song was talking about romantic relationships, I think a lot of the time with songs when it's love in a very generic kind of way, so when it's not talking about like, I don't know, sucking dick or something, it's like, okay, well, that can be any kind of love. Again, unless it's talking about sucking dick, then absolutely not. Wait, let me just like double check. I'm pretty sure I checked, but let me just double check that it doesn't talk about sucking dick in this song, because I don't want to be like, I'm gonna make it about family, and then it literally talks about very sexual things. I don't think this is very sexual. It's just, yeah, it's talking about being exhausted, what you do after a breakup. You want to talk about it, but you know it's over, and I think that this works. Again, a little bit convoluted, a little bit forced, but I really needed to read this book. So I have already started it. I was only probably like this far through before the Triple J announced, and I've read this since then. So I'm going to finish this tonight, and then I'll talk to you more about what this is about and my thoughts and feelings. Then number 4 is Bad Habit by Steve Lacy. This song blew up on TikTok, which I think is hilarious. I was like, at least one of the top 5 songs is going to have blown up on TikTok. In the song, Lacey talks about what could have been if he had told the other person his feelings for them, about the relationship they could have had. What makes this song so special isn't just the catchy beat it has, but it really is the lyrics and the story it tells, because it's something that everyone has thought about on one time or another. It is a song about the missed opportunity to be with a girl we liked. The girl liked him and he wanted her, but he didn't try hard enough for some reason. In the song, Steve Lacy admits that he wished he knew she liked him, and he asks himself if it's too late to try. So for that one, I am going with Wild Highway by Devney Perry. So this is a second chance romance. So this is about people that were together and then something happened and they've broken up. And the story is about them reconnecting, coming back into each other's lives. And I feel like that kind of resonates with this song because obviously a lot of it's going to be thinking about what happened and how they obviously still had some sort of feelings, you would assume, or there was something still there, but there was this miscommunication or something happened and now they still have those feelings. So I think that this book kind of fits with this song, so that's what I've picked for that one. Then we have Hard Light, which is the other Spacey Jane song. So the member that wrote this song said, I wrote this song about how I was feeling like my life was a bit like one of those nightmares where you're at school with no pants on, except I used the metaphor of being on set and forgetting all your lines because it felt less silly. We appreciate that. We've all had those nightmares and they are horrifying. But also just having no idea what I'm doing, even though I want it to look like I really do. So at first I was going to pick a book that talks about anxiety. You know, there's a lot of books out there that are about anxiety. But then I had like another cool interpretation of it. So obviously this song is very much this person's feelings. He's spilling his thoughts and feelings, his anxieties, his worries, his fears. It's a very vulnerable song. It's definitely getting into the perspective of him and how he feels. And so I sort of wanted to kind of go with the fact that this was a very vulnerable personal song. And so with that, I have picked this next book. Ugh, sorry, Tilly, I need to get it. Ugh. You could have stayed with me. I wasn't kicking you off. I was holding you, okay? So don't make me feel guilty for that. You chose to leave. So I'm going with Dreaming Inside for this, which is a collection of poems, essays, just pieces of writing by Indigenous Australian people who are in a correctional facility. Every year they do a collection, so this is the 8th volume, so the 8th year they've done it. And yeah, it just has like poems and there's art in here as well. And so this is definitely highlighting voices that obviously are silenced, we don't really hear a lot from. And I think it's going to be a very vulnerable collection. I think it's really going to get into this perspective, learn more about these people and hear their voices when they're not really in a position to have their voices heard. I think it's going to be very interesting and important. And again, I feel like it will be pretty vulnerable in some circumstances. So I went with that. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of anxieties and fears threaded throughout this. Then number 2 was BOTA, Baddest of Them All. And this is by a bunch of people, but it's mainly Eliza Rose. And she said it was inspired by her writing down the lyric, "Do you want to dance, baby?" But then she felt like it was a bit too cutesy, but she liked that element because she wanted that 90s nostalgia, but she also wanted some grittiness too. She also was inspired by her surroundings, and she was in her boyfriend's bedroom and he had a, I don't know what this is, coffee poster, and the words were, "She's the baddest, wickedest in town." So yeah, this is definitely a hype song. So for this, I've gone with Strike the Zither. I really wanted to read this because I want to get read most of the books I got for Christmas. So that's one of the main reasons I'm pushing this. But also I feel like this fits because the character in this is a bit of a badass. I'm not going to lie. Literally the opening line of this book is iconic and I'm still not over it. It says, "Some say the heavens dictate the rise and fall of empires. Clearly those peasants have never met me." What the fuck? Wow. So yeah, she's a bit of a badass. It's definitely a kind of power to women story. There's these like sword sisters that kind of rule, and there's just a lot of cool, compelling, strong female characters. So it's definitely a like uplifting kind of book. I just feel like it fits that vibe of empowering, uplifting anthem. So yeah, I've gone with this for that song. And then the number 1 song is Say Nothing by Flume. In this article, Flume says, "This song is about feelings of post-relationship clarity. We wrote the song midway through 2020 while the pandemic was still pretty new. I was really excited about the initial idea, but it was only once I got back to Australia in early 2021 and linked up in the studio with Maya that the song really came to life." So this also definitely gave second chance romance kind of a vibes. So I have decided to go with Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. Now this is a second chance romance in a way. It is about a married couple that I believe are still like legally married, but they have like emotionally split up. And it's kind of about them co-parenting and I guess finding love again. So in a way that is kind of post-breakup clarity, but maybe not in the way the song is talking about, but it's still kind of the same in that it is this clarity, I'm assuming, of them finding their way back to each other, that spark, that connection, the love that they were losing. It's true Kennedy Ryan fashion. I've heard this is very hard-hitting, kind of devastating. That's my TBR for this video. So now we're going to go through me reading all of these books, giving you my thoughts, listening to the music. Let's go. Don't meow at me, and then when I come to interact with you, you run on. So I'm here to update that I've read and finished Witchmark, and I was confused as fuck. This book was just confusing, and I don't know if it's because I'm stupid or... No, it's probably just because I'm stupid. I'm not even gonna go further than that. So this is a fantasy historical fiction, but it's not in our world. It's an original world reminiscent of Edwardian England, and there is a world war happening, and we follow this character who just wants to be an ordinary person. He doesn't want all the responsibilities, and he doesn't want to play a big part in the world. He kind of just wants to live a simple life. So at the beginning of the book, I believe he is a psychiatrist, and he's working at this like little hospital for a lot of war veterans. This man comes to him with a body, and he believes that that person has been murdered. And so it's kind of this murder mystery of who this person is, what happened, but you're also uncovering this character's past. There is a male-male romance, which is delightful. So there's a lot going on, and this is a standalone in a companion series. So this character's story arc is kind of finished, but I would say there's definitely more to the plot to continue, so it wouldn't really be super satisfying plot-wise to end here, but this character's story does finish in this book. Well, not finish, but like it's concluded, and we follow different characters in the next books. So yeah, I found mostly what was confusing is that magic was not really ever really explained as far as I can remember. I just felt like everything was happening and I wasn't really like understanding. So it's definitely the kind of world building where you need to figure it out for yourself, and I think I just probably wasn't in the right headspace for this. But I really enjoyed the characters, I really enjoyed the romance. I think the writing's really nice, so I think I will go back and reread this at some point because I think I could really love this, but I think it was just the wrong time for this book, unfortunately. But yeah, he does have a like romance with this guy, and I feel like it's pretty insta-lovey, but there is a lot of like care in this relationship and respect and I don't know, just longing that's really quite sweet. So it is a nice romance, but I guess because I don't love insta-love, it wasn't like my favorite, but I still liked it. And I probably knew in the past, but I didn't remember that this was queer. So I was super excited when, yeah, that was being set up.
Yeah, my house is full of...
I'm recording. Are you ashamed of yourself?
No, because look what I got you, you little...
Thank you, my love.
You have to drink it like that.
No, give me my straw. Liam's now looking at me, so if I think of anything else, I will do it when Liam's not in the room. accidentally just took a picture instead of pressing record, so I'm gonna hate going back to delete it and seeing that hideous photo of me. So I've read Wild Highway, and I think this is pretty much what I said before, if I even said anything. I filmed that clip so long ago now, I honestly don't even remember what I said. So it's kind of an enemies to lovers second chance romance. So it's about this girl that grew up in this small town. She was of a low socioeconomic status, she didn't really have a good life, and she kind of wanted to make something of herself. So she ended up leaving the town and builds this, you know, empire. She's very, very rich now. And she kind of has like a bit of a crisis where she's like, I don't feel anything. Like, I don't feel anything about my life. I now want to like feel something. So she ends up selling her company and she goes back to her small town to apologize to this friend that she kind of ditched. And she ends up meeting up with this guy that she slept with just before she left. And he was really into her, and then she just disappeared, and he was pissed. And he feels like she left because she just wanted money. And so he's pretty bitter about the whole thing, and he works on his family's ranch, and so they kind of end up having to cross paths because she works on the ranch while she's there, and their romance rekindles. So this one was really weird, and I don't feel like I felt this way about the other book I've read by Daphne Perry, but this one felt like, you know how there's all these different ways people write first drafts, but one is that you just write the bare minimum. Like, you just get everything down, and then you've got a really, really low word count. You haven't got many pages, and then you beef it out. You add more in, but you've got like the crux of the story without a lot of like the substance and heart of it. You've just got the bare minimum. That's kind of what this felt like. I would say like it's not the first draft, obviously, but it did feel like it needed a little bit more oomph to it. Like, it needed more. It was quite short, and I feel like it just went to all of the main points, and there wasn't a lot of like building of things. We didn't really have any moments where we just sat with the story and paused. It was like a constant, we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and then we're doing this, and it's over. And I was like, I don't feel like I read a story there. I feel like I read a first draft. It was really, really odd. I don't feel like I've ever really experienced that before, or felt so distinctly like this feels like a first draft. Oh, my back's sore, sorry. Let me just... Okay. But other than that, like, I actually quite enjoyed this. I think that it had a lot going for it. There was a lot going on with the main character, going on with the heroine. She'd had a really awful upbringing, and so a lot of the trauma associated with that and her, like, coping mechanisms and ways of protecting herself were a huge part of why she had chosen to live a life where she didn't really feel anything because it was safe. And so coming back to the town was terrifying for her because she was going back to where all these things happened, and she was opening herself up to feelings again, and with that comes fear. And so I quite enjoyed that aspect of her character. Like, there was a lot of depth, and this guy was kind of her safe place. There's this beautiful line that he says towards the end of the book that actually, like, I felt like I was gonna start crying. It was really out of nowhere. I was like, holy shit. Like, they had a really cute romance. Like, they were quite like, it was like a nice safe romance. It was built on respect and understanding and giving each other space and time. And I feel like the miscommunication elements weren't too frustrating because it was kind of tied in with that, which felt organic. Was still annoying as shit, but it wasn't stupid like a lot of other books. It actually kind of made sense. I think it would have been better if they had actually been dating, because they kind of just had like a one night stand. And he was so butthurt over the fact that she left. And I just don't really understand why. Like, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would be so butthurt over a one night stand. Because it's like, you guys just hooked up. She never promised anything. You weren't dating. Whereas if they were a couple and she just got up and left, it would have made more sense. And I don't really know why they didn't just do that. Because it was like years later, and they're like in their early 30s, I think they were. And like, he was still so butthurt over this, and like, I didn't understand why. It just didn't really make sense. But yeah, it was really cute. I really enjoyed it. And did it fit the song? I think this fit the song perfectly, in that the song was about this guy that liked this chick, and like, he never communicated that, and now he's trying to figure out if he can say it, and that just fits this book perfectly. You know, he hooked up with this chick, he really, really liked her, and she left, and he never got the chance to tell her how he felt. And then the story is her coming back, and he's pissed, but then they end up rekindling that romance, and he finally gets to sort of Hi, I'm here to update that I have finished reading Dreaming Inside. I've had a lot of tabs for this book. Sorry, I feel like whenever I do this, like my eyes look really creepy in the background because I'm focusing on the book to make sure it's in focus and my eyes are just like... This is obviously not a normal book, so I'm not going to rate... I'm not really even going to do like much of a like review. Not that I'm smart enough to review books, but you know, I'm not really going to critique this like I would a normal book because there's nothing really to critique here. It is a collection of people's thoughts and feelings, so it is written perfectly to that person. There's no like critique here. It's just a platform for people to speak, and I feel like that might be something that would be really frustrating being in prison. And I know like you can argue prison is to punish people, but I think that it should also be about reforming people, of helping people. A lot of people in this book have drug related crimes, so I feel like it should really be about reforming them, helping them be able to go back into society and not fall into those habits again. And I think having a voice is such a huge part of, I don't know, self-discovery, learning, being able to write this on paper and put it out into the world. I feel like would be such a really important experience for these people. And so I think this is fucking amazing, and everything in this moved me because it is so personal, and this is real people, and these are their feelings and thoughts. And it was a really, really tough read because of that. It was so tough reading about the people that keep coming back into prison. A lot of people in this were hopeful that they will stop, but then there were some people that were like, I'm gonna be back here. And that's really sad. Yeah, you can just feel so much anger for the system, for, you know, colonization, and it's tough. It's really tough. I feel so angry for these people. And I feel so helpless. I don't know what I can do to help, but at least reading this and listening to them and feeling for them and empathizing with them and understanding them is so important still as well. So I do recommend people pick this up if they want to. It's obviously not going to be literally genius. It's just people's thoughts and feelings. There's a lot of spelling errors, but it is so human. It is so true. It is their experiences and feelings and people being so vulnerable. I really appreciate. It's a really tough situation, and I think that these people deserve to be heard, and it gives you empathy. Everybody's voice deserves to be heard, and I think that this is such a brilliant program that it gives people a chance to be heard, and it gives them a point to reflect on their life and their experiences, and also just like creative freedom. You know, they write poetry, there's some songs in here, there's even a few point stories, so it's a chance for people to do something while they're in there and reflect and feel like they still have a voice, which is again something that I feel like would be so dehumanizing about prison, is that you don't feel like you have a voice anymore. And there's so much lovely artwork, and I tabbed so many of them because they're just so pretty. There was some at the end that I really, really liked. Just beautiful. And this ended up being a really good pick for Highlight. I think that, again, they are both about being vulnerable and speaking your feelings, telling your truth. Yes, I think this was a good... So happy that you cannot see my leggings and t-shirt combo right now. It's pretty heinous. Hello? Hello? You're just gonna stare at me, okay? Alright, I have read and finished Strike the Zither, and I really enjoyed this, but I also was very confused by this.
What a wonderful kind of day.
And I think that might be Joan He's thing. Let me just grab it. It's somewhere here. This book, I loved. I loved this book, but it's got a lot of criticism because it's confusing as fuck and you don't really understand it. But I loved it. I thought there were so many great messages and things to explore in this that I didn't really give a shit, that at the same time I had no fucking clue what was happening. I feel like I understood the plot. It was like the world building, absolutely no idea. This was the same. Pretty much for the most part, I understood the plot. I didn't understand the massive intricacies, but I understood overall the characters' goals, who they were with, who they were fighting for, what they were fighting for. I kind of got the gist. The world, didn't really understand. This is based on, oh gosh, I can't remember. It's based on a very old story. The Three Kingdoms, I think it is, which is a very old tale. So it's based on that, but Joan He wrote this with female agency, which I think is always really, compelling and obviously very uplifting. So it's about this character who is the, advisor for this woman who is fighting and wants to be, I think she wants to be the empress, the next empress. But there are these other two women that are also very powerful and want to be the empress, I think. The main character is supporting the weakest of them because she wants to do it through just means. Like, she wants to be a good person at the end of the day. But when you are fighting unjust people, you're the weakest. You're the weakest link, essentially. So she is supporting the weakest of the two. And the book kind of just jumps straight into her going in disguise to go work with one of the other women, but she is saying she has betrayed woman that she worked for, but she actually hasn't. She's just saying she has because she's been sneaky. And we follow her. She has a romance with the advisor of the woman that she is tricking. And so that's also a plot going on, but it's not very romance heavy. It's just like a side plot. And I actually didn't mind it. It felt a little bit out of place. And I honestly, this is the kind of book that I would love, a sapphic romance. Like this women power, lots of strong, beautiful women. I was like, and why is she having a romance with this dude? Come on, there's beautiful women everywhere in this book. Why is she not having a romance with the chick? And I know not everyone's queer, but I wish everyone was queer. That's kind of the story. And then about halfway through, there's like this massive plot twist, and then the book kind of shifts, and it's very fucking cool. I really liked it. I was quite put off at the beginning. I was like, whoa, okay. But I loved it. Once I got like 50 pages past when that happened, I was like, oh, this is actually really, really good. And I don't know if that is part of the original story. It probably is. So maybe that's why it's a little bit off-putting or weird at first, because it is based on something else. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. Again, a lot to dissect. Very confusing. But I don't know, there's something about Joan He's books, the two that I've read at least, that are very unique. Like, they've been a very unique experience. Even of the two, they're unique of each other. Like, this was very different from anything I'd read. I just was on this weird, compelling journey, and I had a really good time with it. And because it was so entertaining and fun, I didn't really care that at the end of the day I didn't 100% understand what I was reading. But yeah, the characters are all interesting. There's lots of different dynamics and relationships that we're exploring. I think the characters' motives are really cool. I think the fact that she is not a moral person herself, but she is standing up for a very moral person and fighting for them because of their morals is really interesting, because it's like, yeah, but you don't give a shit. Yeah, there's lots of really badass, flawed, strong women in this that are really interesting to explore, and the different dynamics between them are really fascinating. So this was definitely a very good book. I don't really know how I feel about it as a YA though, because I always rate books in terms of their genre and, what the author's intent is and everything. And like, as a YA, I feel like this kind of failed a little bit, because I don't think that this is written very... I don't know. I know that there are very smart, amazing, teens out there, but in general, I feel like a lot of teens have short attention spans, want things that'll, grab their attention easy reads, which is something that I love about YA. Whereas this was a lot slower and harder to get into and very complicated. And I just don't know if there's value to this that teenagers would, necessarily gravitate towards. Like, I don't see a large percentage of teens being really, really in love with this. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it's possibly after you read a bit, you get into it, but maybe at first it would be a little bit off-putting. I'm not really sure. And there's quite a horrific part in this that kind of traumatized me. So I'm just like, is this really for teens? Tilly, can you not go up there, please? How did you even get up there? Cats are astounding in the best way, but also very stressful for the parent. Do you know how you're going to get down? Oh my gosh. Why are you digging on that box? You're not gonna dig your way down. You need to jump down. Hang on. Oh, baby girl. Oh, my little baby. My baby. Hey, you got up very high. Was it cool? I hope you never do that again. What if you do it when I'm not here? How will you get down? Hey, how will you get down? How would you ever have gotten down without me? She is not impressed. I'm not impressed with myself either, Tilly, so we're one and the same, really. And yeah, I think it fit the song. The character in this is a badass. And not even in like the way you generally see badasses in books. Like, she's not really skilled in terms of like fighting and agility and strength. She's a badass with her brain, like a badass in the mind, and it's delightful to watch. She's pretty fucking cool. What are you doing? Get out of that. Alright, I'm gonna go. This clip's been a bit of a shit show. Oh my god, you can see my leggings and t-shirt combo. Isn't it horrendous? Oh my god. Okay. I'm gonna go now. Bye. Oh my god. Every time I put my sunglasses on my head, it pulls all my hair out. I'm just trying to be cool. I look terrible. Okay. Hello. I'm here to update. And move my camera around like an idiot, apparently. Oh. No, don't do that. Stay here. Oh god, this whole thing is a mess. Hang on. I'm gonna actually put some effort into my appearance and fix what's going on here, clearly, because this isn't gonna work. This is a bit better. I still look pretty bad, but so I have finished reading Before I Let Go, and oh my god. This book was amazing. This easy 5 stars, just honestly so different to any romance I have ever read. I think there should be more romances out there like this. I think it's just delightful. So this is about a divorced couple. So they were married, they had 2 kids, and there are a lot of content warnings because something happens in their life which is really awful, and the heroine ends up getting depression, and she is really struggling, obviously, because depression is a horrible thing, and through that she ends up wanting a divorce. The story kind of starts, I think it's been like 3 years or something, and they're obviously like co-parenting. They live separate now, and she has really finally started to get her groove back. She's, you know, been on medication, she's getting counseling, she's definitely doing a lot better. She's sort of her old self again. And she and the husband own this like restaurant together, so they are still kind of business partners as well. And he starts to see the old her come back, and her feelings for him start to come back because she is no longer, you know, in that place. And it's kind of about the rebuilding of this relationship between these 2 people, and it's so heartfelt, it is so emotional, it is beautiful, the pacing is so good. It is just this slow, soft story, and there's not really a lot that happens. It is a lot of like internal dialogue of the 2 characters. It's very much an exploration of these characters and what they're going through, and we are slowly seeing it through their eyes, and the building of things getting back to the way they used to be. Well, not even that, it's kind of different this time, but back to being, you know, together, and how they're going to work things out. And It's just beautiful. It's so heartfelt. I think it has so many great messages, so much great representation. Obviously, like mental illness, but also just like married / divorced couple romances, you know, we just don't really see a lot of. I think would be really uplifting for some people. And it normalizes the situation in this book that brings so much new discussion, ideas, images, everything to the table. Like, it's just so unique and uplifting and beautiful and heartfelt. And I was emotional the entire book, and I freaking wanted them together so bad. It's one of the couples that I really fucking wanted to get back together. I was like, holy shit. 5 stars, absolutely loved it. I think it's my first 5-star of the year, which is pretty exciting. And I think it definitely fit the song because it is post-breakup kind of clarity, and there is a lot of clarity because it does take over the 3 years. So there are a lot of moments of clarity of them kind of moving on and accepting that things are over, and then things starting to heat up again, and the clarity of how to make things work now, and that there is still something there that they can work on. That is going to do it for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed. It's a little bit all over the place because I'm a little bit all over the place at the moment, but I hope you still had fun with it. Let me know if you enjoyed this vlog concept. Would you like me to do it yearly, as I said I might do? And let me know what your thoughts are on the Triple J Hottest 100 songs. Let me know what your opinion is of these books. Are you going to read them? Have you read them? Let me know. I'd absolutely love to know. And I will catch you guys next time. But until then, bye!